to the office. I was at a baseball game, and so was Councilman Fogarty, and we couldn't make the cake, but we did want to at least give you a card and say thank you.
Mike feels lonely. We got to get something for Mike. Oh, we didn't know. We would have done it. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We might have something else for you later on. So now we'll get down to regular business. The only thing I will mention on the presentations, I should say it at this time, not that we're trying to not be formal here, but we, Councilman Lawson, myself, we have Townie baseball shirts on, and Councilman Fogarty brought his hat and T-shirt. Councilman Rigo has his Townie red, and of course, Mike has that blue on. It doesn't apply, but we want to congratulate the East Providence High School varsity baseball team, which yesterday won the Division II state championship. In the 96 or 7-year history of East Providence High School playing baseball, it's a strange fact. We've had great players, great teams, and have only won 2 championships yesterday, back in 2014. And I want to take a moment of personal privilege to say that I'm proud of my own son, who happens to be the head coach. He was there in 2014 when it was the first championship East Providence ever won in its history for baseball. And he was there yesterday for their second win. I'll just say this, if you know baseball, it went to the 7th inning, which is the last inning in high school. It was a 1-0 lead for East Providence. And the very tough East Greenwich team, don't you know, they loaded the bases in the last inning, no outs. And a tremendous pitcher, Tim Robitaille, who's a sophomore, he's going to be back for a couple more years. Got a couple of pop-up outs. East Greenwich people were on their feet. All they needed was a base hit, and they win the game. And Robitaille struck him out. The game was over, and the Townies won it. So normally we would bring a championship team in and give citations, but it only happened last night. And the summer break for the team will be starting, and I'm sure they'll start vacation. So July is kind of fully removed. So I'm sure we'll talk to the mayor and his staff, and along with the council, when they have a championship banquet sometime this summer, we will attend and make some presentations. So with that lengthy congratulations, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session briefly.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and let me just get the legalese out. Pursuant to the Rhode Island General Laws, 4246-5, A and 2, and we have, I believe it is 2 items on that agenda, and this should be very quick. So all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. We will go to executive session and return in a few minutes. Motion to return to public session and seal the minutes of the executive session.
Make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded
Second.
by Councilman Rego. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. One quick announcement. I see Chief of Police in the audience, and I neglected to say earlier, thank you, Chief, to you, your command staff and department, who yesterday, along with our fire department, provided a winning motorcade procession for that high school baseball team and met at the high school, and it was well received by the parents, the players, and my 2-year-old grandson in particular loved seeing all the police cars and sirens going off. And it was, seriously speaking, a commitment of the support that you and the department have for our youth and our families in this city, and sincerely appreciated.
Townie pride, baby.
Thank you.
Thank you. Make a motion for the consent calendar to approve.
Motion is made from Councilman Lawson to approve the consent calendar. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you want to continue with the agenda.
Yes.
So under licenses, we have, and if anyone here had picked up a packet, there may be 35 or
42.
42, is it? So under the licenses that are not required to be in a public hearing, they are all routine, annual, summertime things, backyard parties, church, festa,
Going to have a carnival at the carousel.
then our own carousel carnival, and they've been publicly advertised. They're on the agenda. If after tonight anyone has a particular question, please call the clerk's office, call one of us. So rather than have even all of them read, I would ask the city clerk that, are there any here who did not meet any of the legal guidelines and restrictions of the city and the state or the health department? Is everything in order as far as you know?
There are 2 mobile food applicants that don't have their state MFE. It's in process. And so I think the advice is they can be approved pending
Pending.
those stipulations.
Okay.
So, Mr. Solicitor, can we say that for bundling all of them, that pending that they all meet approvals?
Yes, pending verification of meeting all local and state requirements.
Now,
Is there any
These-
objection on the council?
I just have a question. These are the ones that are going to take place at the Crescent Park event?
That's correct. 2 of them have their state and local MFEs. They're current and up to date, but 2 of them are in process.
Yeah, the carnival people bring their food people, so they need to be licensed in the state in order to participate.
Yeah.
It's the ice cream and the lemonade.
The only thing, I mean, our next meeting's the 18th of July.
If they don't have
Yeah,
it.
no. The only thing I'm saying is that when they do get all their state, if you could email us a copy of it, because we're the licensing board, so that we have a copy that we can see that everything was done properly.
Yes.
That's all I ask.
Okay.
So is there a motion that should say,
Make a motion to bundle C1 through C42. Make a motion to bundle C1 through C42.
pending,
Pending,
this is just the bundle?
Oh, okay.
it's just a bundle.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Rego to bundle the licenses as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Now a motion is in order to
Make a motion to approve contingent on all requirements being met. All state and local requirements being met, C1 through C42.
I second that motion.
Motion made by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Rego. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Public comment, and you have the sheet for the two parties that signed up for public comment.
Under public comment, first is Mr. Richard Ferrera, Arrowhead Ave, and he wants to talk about red lights. If Mr. Captain Ferrera, if you would come to the podium, please. Welcome.
First of all, let me thank you for your service. I know it's not easy to be a councilman, having been one myself out of state. We're going to talk about red cameras and red lights. It's my hope that in Collier County, next to Lee County, I was councilman in Lee County, they had a red light problem, a significant problem. And they hired a company to come in and set up cameras. And in the process, an awful lot of people were getting tickets because they were coming to a stop line. And then if you know the way zoning was in the past, you know, hedges are allowed and all that, fences, and they would creep up to look on each side to see if, am I right, cars were coming. And they were getting tickets. It got so bad that the Collier County Commission, the commissioners, dissolved the contract. Many of the contracts that we signed when I was on the council, excuse me, had 30-day notification for cancellation. It was a good fail stop for the taxpayers in case something goes wrong during the contract. So I just want to caution the council, a suggestion. Be careful when you sign that. Make sure you get the T's and the I's dotted, because people are going to really rebel if they do stop and suddenly get especially now when they're struggling with inflation and household budgets. So I just wanted to bring that up. Glad the chief is here. Let's be open about it. Let's be transparent about it. It should be based and they should be placed where there's empirical evidence that there is danger, and not because somebody has juice, you know, and wants a camera. So thank you very much.
Well said. Thank you.
And Mr. Ferrer, you're a retired police, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a decorated, honored retired East Providence police officer.
Thank you.
If you remember, my grandpa was Joe Cardoz, who held you in esteem, you and late Chief Rocha. So
Yes.
I'm a little bigger both ways now, but you
I haven't noticed.
thank you. But you're a man who's well respected in this community from everybody here in a long time, and I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Captain. Next person is Nancy Hale from Bullocks Point Avenue, City Safety.
Hi, my name is Nancy Hale, 889 Bullocks Point Avenue. And I thought I had signed up to be on the docket, but maybe not.
You are.
Okay, this is public comment. There's another way to be on the docket. You get more time. But anyway, I'm going to use the time I have as quickly as possible. I might be confused, so let's ignore
Point of
that.
order.
We had submissions for you for the July, August, and September meetings. So I have 3 forms filled out. So you are on the docket for
next
July,
month.
August,
Okay.
and
So
September.
quickly, you all know what my concerns are, city safety, and it goes way beyond the intersection where I live or in my neighborhood. In fact, I do not represent the NTRA at all. I'm here as an individual resident of the city of East Providence and basically the globe. My concerns are, first of all, city safety. And we are making progress. I did have a good meeting with Napoleon and Andrea from the mayor's office. where I presented some of my ideas, but not all of them. Really good and creative brainstormer as far as solving complex problems. Some of my ideas are good and some of them are probably horrible from a standpoint of risk management or cost effectiveness. But we're making progress and I look forward to meeting with them again. Tonight, I don't even know if I brought it up here. So some of it has to do with money. Okay, if you're going to have a campaign for city safety or how being green, that is being green meaning environmentally good, okay, how those things can kind of overlap, interact, as well as save money sometimes. So it's not always about spending money to get results. I know that almost anything you do requires a little bit of money, but there's ways to raise it. And one way in the case of city safety is to enlist the cooperation of organizations and businesses like AAA, insurance companies for cars like Amica, or health insurance companies. All the insurance companies actually deal financially with the repercussions of, unsafe behavior and like really preventable accidents. So, there's ways, because I've done fundraising for other nonprofit organizations. And what they usually like to see is that there's some sort of agreement that there is a problem and that there are solutions. And then they're willing to, give actually sometimes large amounts of money. So one of the things we talked about, I can't remember everything because I tend to talk fast and think fast, sometimes without thinking well enough, but actually to have announcements at some of the events that already exist throughout the city. For example, at the concerts, Rose Larissa Park, having someone, whether it's someone from the police department or from the mayor's office or a council member, basically to welcome people or end the show, the musical show, with, thank you all for being here. And we really appreciate your paying attention to sidewalks, crosswalks. And, we want to keep our events not only fun, but also safe. So this will sort of raise an awareness because actually, I don't believe the police department, can really manage, generally speaking, sort of inconsiderate, bad common sense behavior. They can't regulate everyone's behavior. So I'm not sure that, it's impossible. We have nine guys on a shift, they can't make everyone behave safely. But having a safer city does save money. And so does some environmental changes. Now, here's where it overlaps. When I talked to someone walking up the wrong side of the street with their dog one day, they said, well, we don't want to walk on the sidewalk because we're afraid of the chemicals from the lawns. Herbicides, pesticides, things to kill weeds or get rid of insects. And that is a concern from an environmental standpoint, as well as a health standpoint for human beings, including pets. So, I thought, well, I haven't used pesticides or herbicides on my lawn for a few years. And, I'm taking care of my lawn and I'm rinsing off the sidewalk a little bit while watering the grass so it looks a little nicer. So I'm doing what I can with just my small environment. But I believe some of the things that I'm learning could be expanded upon. All right. I am requiring that the lawn guys who come do my lawn, that they have to park in my driveway. There just isn't enough room. I've noticed it not just in East Providence, Barrington, elsewhere. You drive in some of the small neighborhoods and you can't even get through because of all the lawn, trucks, right? So there's overlap, but I'd like to stay focused simply on city safety. I don't know if I have 1 or 2 more minutes, but something that happened today.
A couple more. I would like to ask you to wrap it up.
All right. This one has to do with naloxone and the opioid epidemic, which I'm not very familiar with, but I do know that there's a problem. I also know of one young woman who died from I'll never know the details, but basically a drug overdose, perhaps the fentanyl mixed with heroin, whatever. She was in an naloxone program. Today, while I was out working with the lawn guys, a couple of people were handing out things. They're purple, I guess. Basically, and I said, well, there's a phone number, and they say naloxone saves lives, but I said, well, how am I supposed to know that someone is having an opioid overdose? And she said, we're handing these out because there's people, your neighborhood is got people that we know of that are having a problem with this issue. So they've targeted the neighborhood from Crescent Park south. Okay, that's what she
Do they
said.
have identification on them?
She would not tell me, of course. That would be probably, well, I don't need
They
to
were
know.
walking around the terrace.
What?
They were walking around the terrace, handing that out, telling people that.
Yeah,
there's
it's
people
on
with
the
drug
floor over
issues?
there. It's a purple thing, and they were handing it out all over the place. And I said, well, how am I supposed to know that someone is having an issue, that they're having an opioid overdose? She said, well, their lips will be blue and their fingernails will be blue. I'm like, well, that could happen if you're having a stroke or certain heart problems too, or a circulatory problem, maybe diabetes. I don't know. I'm not going to determine that it's, and they said, we'll give you the naloxone. It's free. I said, well, no. I said, I think people should call 911. She said, if you see someone like at the carousel passed out, you know, and they have blue lips and blue fingernails, you should give them naloxone. I'm saying, well, I don't want that responsibility. I said, I think I would call 911.
It does help prevent overdoses. So
I
it is very
understand that, but
effective.
the point is, the person could be having a stroke, bad circulation from any other illness, or heart problem, or who knows, dehydration. They could be old. Maybe they always have blue lips.
It's usually people that know the person's doing the drugs that administer it. Usually it's not a stranger just walking.
I'm not saying that naloxone is not good. It's basically not harmful, pretty much. So it's a good thing. Point is, I don't think that I should decide that the person on the ground is having an opioid overdose and that I should give them anything.
Not your responsibility.
Well, but this was a young person. Maybe she's a volunteer. It doesn't matter, but this is what she told me to
I
do.
want to interrupt you, but, I don't want to get too specific with.
I'm going to ask
cases,
for the police.
And,
the
he's
police
not
advice.
he's not able to speak while with this.
I know afterwards. I want his
Yeah,
advice.
afterwards. So
How to
you wrap it
handle
up in a
this.
minute because we've got.
No, I'm done now. I think I presented enough,
No,
but I
you-
have
you-
two questions.
Don't take it wrong. I appreciate
I
hearing
understand.
from you, but
I have two questions for the council. I've presented myself, my concerns, and also we talked about money from the state of Rhode Island, Safe Streets or something, Safe Streets that's available. And I wonder, next month, in the next meeting, I'll be here, and I want to know who in the city is going to apply for that money that's available for making sidewalks handicapped accessible and basically safe street issues. Crosswalks.
yeah, we'll look into that. But don't
And
forget
then-
again, as we've mentioned before, like there are state sidewalks, there's local.
Oh, I don't want to get
There's a
involved. I
whole
want to
mix
know
match.
what is being done on the part of the city and where do I go to get action?
The city streets, we could answer that. Yeah,
Well, the whole, I believe East Providence is a city.
it is.
Correct.
There are state streets within it.
Well, I can't ask you to do anything that you're not responsible for.
Correct.
So I can't keep, and the next thing is I want to know, there is something called Green and Complete Streets. Green and Complete Streets Ordinance, and I'd like to know more about that from one of you.
It would be either DPW or, planning, yeah.
But I feel like it applies to the whole city, and somebody on the council should become informed about these two things. So I'll be back in July, and I'm on the docket, so there will be time for me to hear from all of you about what each one of you
Just
might have done.
Remember, we won't be able, we'll need specifics from you. So if you're on in July, you should send us ahead of time because
I'm doing it now,
I need
right
to
now, here
research
and
it.
now.
Right.
Green and
No, I
Complete
mean-
Streets Ordinance.
Okay.
Send it to
And there is
Susan writing.
safe
Writing, please.
Will do.
Okay,
Make
thanks
it
again.
easier.
It should be in the minutes of this meeting if I just said it right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, if you could just please just email all of us, that would be great, or send us a letter with your concerns for that July meeting, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, if you send it, it'd be better. Thanks a lot.
They're right
Yeah,
on.
right on the
they're
website or at the end of the meeting, you can get them. Right here, send it right here to City Hall. The clerk will send it right to us. Okay. Yeah, we'll work with you. We'll get it done. Thank you. I would like to ask the council, without objection, we have very few people here tonight, but we do have a couple on the agenda that, for courtesy, I'd like to move up on page 22. At least that's the page on my agenda. I printed this from home, so hopefully we have the same. But item E, it's a request for a rezone petition. A petition from John Flatley Company for rezoning property located at 1279 Wampanoag Trail. Did everyone see that on the agenda? Okay. Is there any objection to moving that at this time?
Not at all.
Hearing none? Okay. Mr. Solicitor, if you
Thank you.
want to proceed.
Thank you, Council President. This is a administrative function at this point. When the council received, the clerk received a petition for rezone under our ordinances and under state law. Once we receive a petition from an applicant, we're required to send it to the planning board for their recommendations before the council can act. I think they have 65 days to give us a recommendation. Once we get that recommendation, we will then advertise for a zone change hearing, which has to be advertised for, I believe, 3 consecutive weeks before such hearing. So this is really just, at this point, just a ministerial process. We're just getting the ball rolling on.
So we're not being asked tonight on the merits of any
No.
case. We're just being asked to refer to the
Correct.
planning
Correct.
board.
And in the past, before Meta comment, frankly, these would just be automatically referred by the clerk to the planning department. But in the interest of transparency, so everyone knows what's going on, when I became solicitor, I just thought it'd be good that the council formally refer it to the planning department so everyone has notice. So when the zone change comes up, it's like, oh, well, we never heard about this. But so it'll be on the docket numerous times before you actually vote. So
Is there a motion to refer to the planning board?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Rego, seconded by Councilman Lawson, Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The matter is referred to the planning board. Thank you, sir, for being here. We would revert back to, I believe, page 17. And Madam Clerk, if you could resume with appointments.
Appointment to the City Council Veterans Committee, Brian Pearson, Councilwoman Sousa.
So Anna asked me to go forward with this because she's going to be here. And she gave me a little blurb. Brian is a lifelong townie and served in the Navy as 42nd Security Police Squadron, Loring Air Force Base, Maine. Hey, I know Loring. He will be a great addition. So I will make a motion that we approve Councilwoman Sousa's appointment, Brian Pearson, to the City Council Veterans Committee.
Second.
Motion made on behalf of Councilwoman Sousa by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty, that Brian Pearson be named to the Veterans Advisory Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next appointment, Madam Clerk.
Appointment to the City Council Veterans Committee, Henry Caparco, Councilman Fogarty.
Yes, thank you. Henry Cap Capaco, U.S. Marine Corps, very good friend of mine for over 40 years. Quality gentleman, father, leader in our community, past school committee chair, a very good friend. And I respectfully really, really appreciate him stepping up and helping us on this committee. And we're going to do good things for the veterans. Thank you.
Is that a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept Henry Capaco on the Veterans Committee.
And I'll-
Motion by
I'll proudly
Councilman
second that.
Fogarty, seconded by Councilman Lawson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have that unanimously. Thank you. 2 good appointments there. Madam Clerk, if you could proceed to the top of page 18, council members.
Did you want to start with Councilwoman Sousa's? We're going to table.
We're gonna, yes, Councilwoman Sousa, who's not able to be here, so we'll
1,
put
2, 3.
Okay,
off all of her items, the top three, until the next meeting. And we proceed to number 4.
School zone speed camera review of current revenue status. Discussion only. Councilman Fogarty.
Councilman Fogarty, and there are a couple of issues similar to this, so
So I'm
you want to
gonna-
combine
I'm
with,
going to move this to number 6,
Okay.
where it has that request for separate fiscal, which would tie in the request for that.
okay,
Similar,
so
so we'll tie those two.
we'll hold
on
off
that one.
until,
And the other one I have is separate and concerns to different issue.
okay,
Yeah,
so we'll do that.
I'll tie mine into number 6.
We'll go to
Number 5.
number 5, Madam Clerk, which is a 30-day review of the city clerk and the city clerk's office, salary considerations, discussion, and possible vote. This is placed on the agenda by myself and Vice President Councilman Rigo. This is sort of and I've asked the clerk will pass out to the council members an outline. Thank you, that she provided. And this is just simply a follow-up on a promise we made when we were hiring the new city clerk, that in 30 days, we would give a general review. So Vice President and myself met a little bit earlier informally with the city clerk and just went over a general review. Everything was positive from her and from us and from others here in City Hall that we have been talking to, and things are moving along nicely. So when we were making this appointment, we said that we would really look closely at this and make sure that we get the best person available, and we wanted to give it a further step by reviewing in 30 days. So that's pretty much what we did, and we've asked her to pass that along to the rest of us. You can either go through that now briefly or look at it later. And we also had said at the time of hire that we would make a final determination on salary. I'm not asking to vote on anything tonight, but during the upcoming budget process, if there is to be any adjustment, then we'll take that as it comes and we will address it. So the 30-day review is positive. Everything is going well. We're actually getting some letters in the clerk's office commending not only the clerk, but the employees in that office for being very responsive to the public. And it's basically a routine report. Councilman Rigo, do you want to add to that?
I thought it was a very good review process, as you talked about when we hired her. We were looking for the best person to fill this job, and so far it looks like we did something right. And it was a great presentation that she gave to us. It was not what I expected. I wasn't expecting something like this, and she, Jill, I should say, has wrapped her hands around that clerk's office.
Yeah, she has some nice recommendations, all for, whenever a new person comes into a job, they always have their take on it. Nothing out of the ordinary, but something we can all look at. So I really, at this point, won't ask for a vote. We will go forward in the budget process and advertise and do anything specific if we need to. I would not want to conclude without saying to you, Madam Clerk, that you were aware of this. We would bring you up here in public and talk about this, and I would give you an opportunity. Hopefully, we've covered it enough. Did I miss anything? Do you want to add anything to your first 30 days here?
It's been an enjoyable 30 days. I appreciate your time and attention to the review that I created, and I look forward to working with everybody to move forward.
Thank you. You've been very cooperative. So with that, and no one else has any comment, I thank you all, and we can move on to the next item, please.
Request for separate fiscal and program independent audit of speed and red light camera program from inception to date. Request for proposal, discussion, and possible vote. Council Vice President Rigo, Councilman Fogarty, and Councilwoman Sousa.
And let me say as a preamble, before the council members start, that we can combine this discussion. I know there were a couple items, Councilman Fogarty, you mentioned it. And again, this is hoped to be a positive step to get more information to us and to the public. And while there is a word audit here, I think the subtitle to that is review. We're just looking for information. But I know, Councilman Rigo, you want to make sure that it's a tight review. And if you want to lead, and then I know Councilman Fogarty, Councilman Lawson also have comments and questions. So Councilman Rigo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The reason for this request is because the speed red light cameras are a new business and partnership for the city of East Providence. In the private sector, where my whole life has been, asking for what you're doing tonight is what is called best business practice. That, on top of this, is our council is in the infancy. We've only been sitting here for 6 months, and we need to wrap our hands around one of our fiscal responsibilities. Along with that fact, this council has appointed a new clerk. After 2+ years of no clerk, it's been stated a couple of times tonight, is called good government for everyone. And everybody starts with a clean slate. This is not what keyboard warriors or naysayers would like to make this out to be. It is peak performance management at its best. This business review, and I state again, business review, by hiring an outside firm will show the true professional approach that each man and woman that are involved in this process puts in for the city to be proud of. It will also show that this city is well managed. This review is one that will be short and to be back to us by our first meeting in October 2023. This task is one that will go out and get a bid, select our firm at the July 18th meeting, and we would expect full cooperation with everybody involved. We will choose the company, give them a timeline to complete review, as I stated the first meeting in October. This will give us enough time to get the proper numbers for the next fiscal year. This is an easy review, since we're only looking into one company, Senso Gasco, and I probably said it wrong, but everybody knows what that is, the company. Basically, in this review, we'll be looking for a top line number, i.e. total tickets issued. Then we'll look for total tickets paid online, total tickets outstanding or unpaid, and then it would be total tickets dismissed by the bench when we have court here, which will lead us to the bottom line, which should equal the top line in business practice. If by chance they don't, then the audit will show, or review will show, that there could be an issue. I do not see this to be an issue. Council President Rodrick and myself witnessed firsthand last week when we were in here with a meeting with the fire department about a gentleman complaining about the phone system that the company that we employ has issues with, and we heard this. In closing, some might think this is a witch hunt. That is far from the truth on my end. What this is treating government like a corporate business, where best business practices leads companies that are good to great companies. The way that we all strive in our elected positions to make East Providence not a good city, but a great city.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more from you later if you want, but I would move on to Councilman Fogarty at this time. You have the floor.
Yes, to add to that, very good job, Councilman Rigo. Bottom line is, it's transparency that we signed up for. People want to know how many tickets were given, how many were paid, how many are existing, like Councilman Rigo produced. On my side, I'm more concerned with the school safety cameras monies and where they go. I mean, I don't think, I heard that we gave $3 million to the school department's budget. Great. I had some ideas with the monies and what they could be used for that I'll come up with on another item. I think that's for operations and all speed light cameras to be changed. But as far as the monies go, for the speed light cameras, not the red light, is school safeties. You can put it back into the schools. School staff and parents with counselors can administer a quality list of usages. You can reward our city residents and high school driver's ed. Let them, let the absorption come from these people that have to pay tickets for speeding to our schools. And let these kids know where the money came from. Safety, patrol uniforms, training. I'm sure they still do it. Training, uniforms, literature, safety in all the buildings of schools. Put the money to the schools. We say it's a safety camera for our schools. Then give all the money to the schools. Every school should have a police force out front, like Market, Ken Heights, all the officers that are out there. My grandkids are out of the school system, but I'm sure they still produce some of these. It eases the burdens of the council and the taxpayers that have to give the money to these projects. Handicap facilities that we're using on our playgrounds. We're coming up for fundraisers. We're still short, a lot of money short. If we're talking millions, then why aren't these done? Anything around the school, from when you walk in to when you exit. Everybody we meet and greet, all this money, if you're telling me school safety, 4 adult children, 40s down, went through that school system, never had an issue. Now you're telling me we have school safety issue cameras to protect for safety. I don't like it. I don't want them. My second one is to change the times. Other than that, Councilman Rigo, great job, and that's all I have to say. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Councilman. I would offer the floor to Councilman Lawson. Want to add?
So I'm just getting up to speed on this. So you want to know how many tickets were issued and how many were adjudicated, how many dismissed? And you want an audit firm to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Is that what audit firms do? With something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's accounting firms in the
All right. And then you want to see the money allocated to specific, I'm talking, Frank.
Not me. You
So-
asked me. I just.
Right. But, and then, no, I'm just trying to get everything so I'm understanding where you guys are coming from.
So to answer my end, I'm issues on the school safety.
Okay.
So the money's from that, if
Mhm.
we're talking both, I'll take my end of school monies, give it to the school safeties,
Okay.
all schools.
So now I'm assuming that money goes into the general fund.
Right. I'm assuming that too.
You want to earmark it to.
Well, let's
schools.
see it. Let's everyone see it and transparent.
So let
I
me
make a motion.
Have we asked the administration how?
Yeah, well, let me answer a couple things. I know, and I see that the finance director and the mayor are here, and I did talk with the finance director a while ago, and he did say that the current auditing firm the city has is in, and I'll let you speak for yourself, but is in the process or will be conducting an audit. Councilman Rigo's asking for an independent group to do it, so we're going to decipher what we need. I did email our current auditing firm, ask some questions. I've not heard back from them yet, but at this point, let's listen to the finance director, and if you can answer a couple of these concerns.
Okay, I will try to address these one at a time, and if you have follow-up questions, feel free. Right now, we have budgeted about $3 million in revenue from the cameras in the current budget. And the administration had asked me about 2 months ago to look into this. I reached out to Simpson Gatso, and actually they sent me every single citation they had. This was a 12-month or 14-month period, but July and August, they don't issue that many citations because the school's closed. But to give you an overview, for that period, there were 156,000 citations issued, totaling $8.3 million. Now, of the 156,000 that was issued, 100,000 were paid, leaving about 57,000 that are open. Historically, we'll collect money for the first 120 days. And then after that, it seems to be, it levels off. So overall, we collect about 70%. There's a 30% outstanding. We had a discussion with the mayor's office and the director of administration and about going back to Simpson Gatso about how to try to better collect some of these older or outstanding invoices. So of,
Okay, you proceed. Thank you.
okay. And he wanted me to reiterate that it is already budgeted. It goes into the general fund. So if you want to take, say, if there's any additional, maybe you could allocate that. But if of the 3 million, you wanted to move $1 million, you'd leave a $1 million hole in the budget.
Can I ask you, the 3 million that you're talking about, is this from the inception of the program? Or is this a different window of time or?
It's about annually. The first fiscal year, I think we got about 3 million.
Because that went towards the hole we had that time. This was the prior council with the school department budget.
And so
So that was 3 million. So now you're saying there's 3 million. Does that mean we've had 6 million come in?
well, we average about, say, 3 million a year come in. And so when it comes into the general revenue, we have $180 million. And of that, we give, of the taxes, we give about just over $50 million to the school. So when the money came in, let's say we gave part of it to school, some of it we kept. But that's always in the budget and it's accounted for. So it's not like one-time money, if that makes sense, because you can't say, oh, we got another 3 million coming in this year and we don't have anywhere for it to go. Because if it comes in exactly the same as last year, we've got the same amount of expenses last year.
All right, so I got a question for you. You just said you ran a report with the company.
Yes.
Were you here for my beginning presentation on certain items that I'd be looking for an outside firm to review them? Again, it has nothing to do with you or anybody in the city. I'm just reviewing an outside vendor. Could you right now get me a report that says number of tickets paid, number of those tickets that are outstanding or have gone in there, number of tickets dismissed by the court? Could you do that to me right now?
I would have to get that report from Census Gasco, but I think
I mean, so you can't, as a vendor for the city, right? We should be able to get that information at any time, I would think. I mean, when I run reports for my business or any business, you have them, but the floor is yours, Mr. Napoleon.
Thank you, Council Vice President.
Okay.
Yes, we're able to get that. The only thing that would be a little bit difficult was dismissals. They give us access to their platform where they run the tickets, and we can get all that. There is a little issue with the dismissals because we don't track it that way through Census Gatso. That's something that the court does, but we can certainly find a way to do that.
So under
Jill, you can get that, right?
So, I'm sorry.
I can get dismissals or these reports?
Well, if the court's dismissing them, that's the clerk's office has the municipal clerk, right?
The municipal court stores the dismissals, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because under Rhode Island law, if a dismissal, there has to be a paper trail,
Yes.
correct, Mr. Solicitor?
It's not digital, though. It's all manual, so
No, but there has to be paperwork on a
Yes.
dismissal, right?
certainly.
If the court dismisses it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we have a paper trail on dismissals.
I just don't know how it's done. I don't know if the court signs a piece of paper, dismisses it, and then gets entered by the clerk's office.
But then again, it's stored somewhere, I would.
It is stored. It just, you'd have to do manual.
Yeah, I mean, but it is stored where, that's all I'm asking.
Oh, can I interject? When can we get a report? I know I asked, I think several months ago about getting a zip code report. And I know that the company hasn't produced it yet because we've been saying to the public that some 80% of the tickets are non-East Providence residents. I think that's a key factor to find out, but we haven't gotten that. Can't they just print that out by zip code?
They can. We just have to request it from them, and we're waiting for some of that information. I think if the city clerk might have passed out some information to you guys today in regards to Census Gatso and some of the numbers. I don't know if you received it or had a chance to review it.
I
We have
have
not
it.
yet.
I have it here. I haven't passed it out.
Okay.
So back to
I
the
got a
court.
question. Why wasn't that in our packet?
What's that?
The report that she has, why wasn't that in our packet?
I
You as the
was
clerk.
requested by Napoleon yesterday afternoon in a meeting to put these packets together for you.
So it was after
It
the
was not part of the
meeting was
docket process.
advertised problem. We couldn't do it.
All right, so we can request that we get a list of all the dismissals. Maybe look at a process to digitize it.
So can we go this further step
Thanks,
and
Joe.
get all that information that Council Vice President wants and see what it looks like? And then if we're not happy with that, we can look into, getting an outside group look at it. Let me go back to
Oh,
the,
yeah. Well, Malcolm said we can do that and we can ask the questions, just like you asked the questions about the zip code. You asked that like 2-3
I
months ago.
did, you said you're waiting for requests, but I did request that.
Okay, I'll make sure that happens.
Yeah. So
I know, but unfortunately, and I respect you, you carry a lot of weight on your shoulders, and I give you a lot of credit for everything that you had
Oh,
to
those are
do.
broad shoulders.
You talking to me or talking to Malcolm?
I'm giving you a compliment. Jeez.
Oh, thank you, Council Vice President.
So, thank you. So, well, Malcolm too, but I mean,
Well, Malcolm lost weight.
yeah, but
Enjoy the compliments, so keep them coming.
no, but really, we hear this all day. We hear this enough times, and when we go grocery shopping and everything like this. So if you can be proactive on the stuff that we're doing by our July meeting, this is all I ask for, is that we get it. And I know, and we get it in a timely fashion and transparency. And look, you saw my presentation I made. This is not a witch hunt. This is best business practices to
Understood.
make the city from good to great.
Understood.
And,
Could I
don't
just make
wanna
one
ruffle
request of the
any-
council, if you don't mind? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you just go through the city clerk and me and the city clerk will communicate? That way there's no confusion as to what you guys want and what you don't want.
Yeah, because because she works for us, so we'll get her on our next review if she doesn't follow through.
Go back to the dismissal issue, because this was a question that we've had, and I don't know if the chief of police needs to jump in at any point here, but basic question, who can dismiss a ticket? I'm hearing different things. I thought originally it was just the judge in a court, but I'm not hearing that is
I'll leave it up to
singularly the
Judge.
case.
the judge, the chief, to answer that question.
Yeah, I would hope only a judge.
Well, the company sends us every single event. They refer to it as. An officer physically reviews each and every event to ensure accuracy. And there are times where there's an issue with the plate. The company made a mistake. It's an emergency vehicle. It's a funeral procession. It needs those human eyes. So we make the decision not to send a ticket out. And there's a code that we add, a reason code. So, but once we send the ticket out, then it's out of our hands. But we do review each and every event.
All right.
And I think the dismissal is for a police issued citation.
No, I mean, there's dismissals from the bench
No, so so it does not become a ticket
ticket until it's
Until
issued.
the cop sign
until
off.
the
Look,
police
guys, can we do one at a time,
sorry.
please? Right now, the solicitor has the floor. Go ahead.
So it does not become a ticket until the police say it's a ticket. Every ticket that's issued is issued in the name of the East Providence Police Department. The law requires that. Census Gasco doesn't issue tickets; they issue events, which then become tickets after the review by the police department. Those tickets then get sent out by mail. The individual who violated or allegedly violated. Of those people who decide to fight the ticket, then it comes to court, and it's best as I know, only the court can dismiss a ticket once it's adjudicated.
Right.
The clerk certainly can't, and so I don't know the process of how the clerk's office records a dismissal by the judge, but there is a process that they have to code it. So
under Rhode Island state law, the only person after the ticket's issued and in the back of it, it says you can appeal your process. You get a court date, everything like that. That's in the back of a ticket. At that point, the only person then who can dismiss it is the sitting judge of that traffic court that night.
right, I'm assuming that if there's usually a prosecution officer, there could be a defect in the actual issuance of the ticket somehow. So sometimes it's dismissed for those grounds. There are ton of reasons why that ticket can be dismissed, but yes,
And they would be coded different. A defect from a bench dismissal should be coded different.
I don't want to say yes, but I'm assuming that is the case.
Well, it should be, right? According to according to law, because a bench dismissal is different from a defect.
Well, a dismissal is a dismissal.
All right.
So,
But at least we know what's going what, if there is codes.
So Mike, could you do us?
And I'm just not aware of how the court might have coded.
No, and maybe there's no policy or procedures for this. That's, I'm just saying, but under, if you go to traffic tribunal, there's different categories.
I want to just ask if, Mike, if solicitor, if you could do this going forward, could you meet with the city clerk, maybe have a discussion with the police chief? I'm not sure you'd have to come in, but on this process of dismissing, once it's a ticket, because I'm not so sure that, and there's nothing nefarious going on here, but I need to verify that only the judge at court day can dismiss the ticket. I'm not sure that's the case. So if you could just talk further with the city clerk, and it's probably beyond the chief at that point, because as you say, when you issue the ticket and then it doesn't get paid, they come to court.
Yes, but I will add, every court evening, my prosecution unit is there. And like any other court, my prosecution officer will make a recommendation to the judge to dismiss tickets if someone has, say, 10 tickets. So there is some back and forth about payment and whatnot. So
and that's
that
fine.
is another.
And that would be fine with me, but it's still done by the judge.
The judge has the final say. in it.
It's a recommendation.
That's what we're saying.
Is there just to cut through the chase, is there a rumor out there that someone else is dismissing tickets? That's true.
There is, but not in a nefarious way.
Yeah.
In a way similar to what the chief described.
Well, I mean, that's a typical, so if you come into the court with 20 tickets of speeding violations, the fine is $50, right? So that's $1,000. The court sometimes will say maybe they talk to the officer, hey, look, I definitely ran the ticket, but my wife was pregnant. I was running back and forth to the hospital or whatever. And the court will take that into consideration and say, look, all right, you admit violation.
Yep,
I'm going to dismiss 5, but you're going to pay 5. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of what happens. Like if you watch Judge Caprio, that's what happens, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I just want to verify that, that process isn't happening outside of the court.
So it could be a recommendation of the prosecuting officer that, based upon.
Yeah, that's not what I'm referring to, though. The other issue, if you could look into with the clerk and whoever you feel might involved, is we know the tickets when you get it mailed to you, as I've gotten about 3. It says it doesn't say that you can't pay it at City Hall, but in reality, you can't. Like, we don't accept money in the clerk's office or checks, but people don't know that.
Yeah, they do.
For the chair.
No, not for tickets.
I pay
You have
mine.
to pay online.
No, I paid mine.
Speed ticket? You paid cash?
Yeah. No, check.
Getting a little personal now, sir.
No, I was told we don't take checks in the court.
I paid my ticket there.
I didn't go do the court. I just went to the
One
clerk's
that
and
I
paid my
got.
ticket.
Well, that's different than what I was told today.
No. I think we're talking about different types of violations. You might have.
I'm talking strictly speed cameras.
Yeah. I
With
got a speed
check.
in violation.
You
I
paid-
came in, wrote a check.
You paid with check for.
Hold on 1 second. We'll have we have an expert here to clarify things. You want to, I know that they'll accept the checks and they'll mail the checks to Census Gadget.
Yeah.
Cash, we won't accept. And you can also pay it online.
We-
With the credit card.
We have.
Since you came from Pawtucket.
Chief, can you
So
clarify?
yes, my prosecution lieutenant for me, the clerk's office will send them to the company just to save the citizen from, more kind of rigmarole.
So they just take it and mail it? They don't store it here?
We have pre-printed envelopes and we pay the postage on those. And it's a courtesy to people who drive to City Hall to pay the tickets, that even though it's a third party that processes them, we hand them the envelope and then we drop it in the mail for them.
Wait, so they collect the money and then pay us?
Yeah,
Yes,
We don't collect it and then pay?
correct.
that's why I'm asking for the audit.
It's a
The
third.
only reason, nothing with the city, it's nothing on the city side. I've said this all along. It's to make sure that this vendor is taking properly care of us. That's the only issue I have. This isn't a witch hunt. This is nothing but overlooking a company that we have a contract with. It's best business practices. Nothing going on in the clerk's office, nothing going on anywhere in the city. But we have a vendor that's collecting our money and we don't know where it's going. You know, we got the.
Are they even in America?
I don't know. That's it.
I don't know if I'd go as far as saying we don't know where it's
No,
going.
I'm just saying with them, I want better business practices, you know, and I mean, everybody here is doing the right thing and they're showing it tonight. And I thank everybody for their time and effort.
I just want to make sure we know where the money's going.
Well, yeah, you know, I'm just,
We issue the citations, the police officers issue the citations, it's calculated, it's all put together. They send us a report, the report matches what the police officers approve, right? The events.
right.
I mean,
It's just a check and balance on a vendor. You
I
can
understand
see where
that. I
I'm
mean,
coming
you
from.
said it a couple of times, like there's some mystery as to where this money's going. There's no mystery to where it's going.
Hey.
Just want to clarify, that's all.
All right, no, you're right. But you can see where we're just
Not a
checking
public
too.
hearing. So where are we? Can we send the city clerk all of those items that you're asking for? Tickets issued, tickets paid, all the things we talked about. We're looking for the zip code report on where, or, I mean, do you want to pursue an independent audit? Has to be bid. It'll be at a cost. Could Malcolm, could you describe what the audit, you told me that the current auditor the city has is about to do an audit on this? What would that entail?
They don't do
They don't do this type.
nothing to the detail you're looking at, that council vice president was looking for. It'll look at revenues. They'll try to tie out the revenues and the cash that comes in. But we get this report, and this report is very detailed. It has the person it's billed to. It has their address. It has their zip code. It has how much was billed and how much was paid and how much is outstanding. I don't know if there's a column that says, has it been dismissed or adjudicated? I have to look into that.
I would think from the court, we could get how many tickets were, or an adjudication report, I would think.
But as I said, that there'd be a top number, right? Total tickets issued. And then if we're looking for those things, and then if we have to physically, if the clerk has to fill in the number of tickets dismissed, to fill in the blanks from what we get from the company, then we get to that bottom line number. And the top should equal the bottom in best business practices.
Correct.
What was that?
I said correct.
Thank
So
you.
he's saying they can probably, or not probably, but that's what they can get us.
So on our next meeting, which is July 18th, we can get all that information with the date that it's run. So gets that company, the revenue it will also show the revenue, right? They provide everything to you.
Yes. We also get money in every 2 weeks. And in it, we get a summary of what was billed and what was collected. But it's really for that time period. So they'll tell you how many we billed this month and how much they collected.
But we'll have the overall number will be there. There'll be an overall number, like total number of tickets. Then we can do the math. If there are 10,000 tickets, 10,000 times 50, we get a number.
Correct. But there are some that are not a round number, as I recall.
No,
But yeah, it'll have a list. I do believe every single ticket has what it was originally billed for.
yeah. But again, I'm just looking for top equals bottom.
Okay.
So how about that we ask for everything you're asking for the July meeting, but, tickets that come in July 11th before our meeting won't, so let's make it as of June 30th, a cutoff date.
Yeah, I mean, those
And then
will be,
everything you're asking.
those will be unpaid. Those will be.
Well, they won't
tickets
show
issued.
on
No,
that
but
report.
It's going to show unpaid tickets. It shows unpaid.
But there may be a lot of categories. I'm just
Well-
saying, in any statistical survey, you have a cutoff date.
So
If we said by, this report should be as comprehensive as you want it.
No, June 30th. Because
By
in theory now,
30th.
there's no ticket issued as of today or tomorrow because there's no more school. So,
Except for red lights.
well, yeah, red lights, you know.
Do it
But
as
the-
of June 20th, because that's when school ended.
Well, that was today.
yeah, so
So
June,
there's no more tickets being issued for a couple of months.
I would presume that there's more tickets being issued for speed cameras than there are red light cameras. Because even
By far.
you made me last night because I know if you saw my license plate when I saw a red light camera, I came to a stop for like a minute to make sure that I went through it, and that's what the job is, so people don't go through it. But the bulk of these tickets are speed cameras.
Is that your experience, Chief, that the bulk is through speed cameras, not red light?
Overwhelmingly speed.
Okay, so technically it ended today.
It did end today, but we have
Processing.
2 more weeks to process those coming in.
Sure, go ahead.
Understanding is that we get these tickets in tranches, right? So then the police department has to have someone sitting at a desk for the next 2 weeks looking at
Right.
tickets issued for the previous. So I think June 30th is a fair cutoff.
That's why I say
Yeah.
Chair,
the end of June. Councilman Fogarty.
even more so why and excuse me, thank you for that comment, why I'm against these cameras, totally against them. And the reason is for that. If 87% of those tickets are written to outside our community, then we should have no issue of having a lovely policeman of our finest sitting there giving tickets, and there won't be that many East Providence residents getting them if that's the number. They never were there. If you can't convince me, they're for good. You could put a police officer there, write the tickets. 87% are outside of our city, is what I was told. So write the ticket. Have the speed camera out. Give me one if I speed. Thank you.
Just want to add, I'd love to have a police officer in every school zone of every hour, but it's not feasible, and we're answering calls for service. It's just not feasible to have that manpower out there like that.
Well, I still am against the camera.
And
And then that's another issue, which, that's a good point to bring up. But at some point, we'll be discussing renewal of this contract or whatever, so we can address that. So for now, let us get this specific report as of the end of June. So that gives them a couple weeks to do the paperwork. It ended today. And do you feel, Chief and Malcolm and Napoleon, do you feel you know what we want to know now?
Yeah, I think in that packet that I had Jill give to you is some of that stuff you're looking for. So, I mean, we should be able to produce it. Yeah, I don't see a problem at all with producing it.
I'll wait till the next meeting because I play nice in the sandbox.
Councilman, do you feel we should have a representative from Census Gatso come that night if there are questions directly of the company?
Well, I mean, if they're making all this money off of us, they should have the courtesy of sending somebody down here.
So could we invite a representative to be at the next meeting?
I can forward the request.
Okay.
Again, I mean, this is great. This is what I'm getting at. Best business practices. That's all I ask for. And that's it. So I'm willing to I play nice. You people have been perfect gentlemen.
Thank you.
And I think you can see that I was a perfect gentleman in my presentation.
You always are.
No, come on. Not, you wanted that boy really good. So yeah, we'll wait till the 18th of July and we'll do it that way. But these are numbers people ask us for all the time, especially where I am, because I have the #1 red light camera according to Tamara Sikosnik of Channel 10. So I get a lot of questions thrown at me about St. Margaret's School. And that's it.
I just want to add something that I've noticed since I started coming here. And I know the mayor's here and he can address as well. And Council President Rogers knows this as well. The #1 complaint that you get is speeding in the city. There's a lot of speeding that goes on in the city. And these things have a relation, they slow people down, whether we like it or hear it or not. I've looked at some of the speeds, 51 in a school zone, 40 miles over the speed. That's twice the speed limit. We don't have the personnel to put out there to be stopping the speeding like it's going on. This is a good deterrent.
No, speed is an issue, but then the other issue that happens now is I get phone calls constantly.
From the people who get tickets because
No, not the tickets. It's the issue and your lifetime in law enforcement and obviously the chief. My issue now happens that cars are diverting down side streets like Don Avenue, Catlin Avenue, even my street, which we'll rename Anonymous. Ferris Avenue and everything like that. So that's an issue. Even we had an issue, and I think the mayor was aware of it too, that a truck took down a decent sized branch. I was going to take a picture of it down Avenue, and thanks to Sergeant Prendergast and to the chief, they did put how many cars and trucks go down Avenue and Catlin Avenue, and that's one of the streets that are going to get the sign. So I know perfection's only a word in the dictionary, but if we can figure out a way how to do that, and off the top of my head, it would be up to the police chief. If we, on those streets, if we could ever put in those speed bumps, and again, I know I'm opening up Pandora's box, but that solves another problem as far as the side streets. That's where I got a lot of my complaints from. They're accepting the speed, the people who live there know enough to drive 20 miles an hour, or they detour around them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys have, I mean, do you have late model vehicles? Because right now, mine, I just got a new vehicle, by the way.
Oh,
Newer. It's not a brand new vehicle. It's a newer vehicle. But it alerts me to when the safety cameras and where they're at. So if I start to drive in an area, it'll tell me, hey, look, there's
yeah. Oh
safety
yeah.
cam.
That's what's happening now. And Waves takes you down, in my neighborhood, it takes you down Avenue or Catlin, and it's just an issue. But thank
All
you.
right, so can we move this along? To be continued?
To be
the
continued.
July 18th meeting. And as of, the report would be as of June 30th. And get us as much information from soup to nuts as you can, on the number of tickets, the number of money from day one through June 30th. And we'll go from there. Are there any problems with that? I know there may be some hiccups getting all the data, but I'm sure we can try. And any other comments on that?
I just want this done sooner or later. I don't want to be, playing, I don't want to be playing, kicking the ball all over the place.
Next meeting, yep.
I just want to get it done.
I think that the hot spots we know, basically out of most of the tickets, which we can look at. And we got, and what you said, Chief. So you find some hot spots. I'm sure you got a majority of the numbers of the 100%. You probably got 60% Pawtucket Ave. And then St. Margaret's. I mean, a patrol, not to move on and bore, but I'm just saying, in reflection to what I'm speaking of, we can find the officer, they can get the tickets, we can slow them down. And if they're out of state and they don't learn, then there's further prosecution. But thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks.
And to
Thanks for
piggyback
all you do, by the way.
that, my last question or comment is, maybe this is a question for the legal department, just to answer some of us who are talking about adjusting the policy. For instance, there's been, and for another day, we'll talk about this, but there's talk about, well, can we change the times? Can we eliminate the Forbes Street one or the St. Margaret one? Is any of that allowable under the current contract?
I don't want to answer about the times because I don't know that, but the state law lets you set the time from, I think, 7.
6. We do 4, but you can go to 6.
So the issue of whether or not under the contract, there are, actually, there's a requirement under the contract that in low producing areas, you can actually, yes, the city has the right to ask that or actually even the company has the right to ask that the camera be reallocated or go somewhere else.
Not to interrupt you, but I read it too. And I do believe it states we can change it as the council for the times.
I didn't see that in the contract, to be honest with you, but
I'll reread it. I thought I read it where we could.
Well, maybe that's something.
that's something I can look into to get you an answer.
Okay.
I will do that.
All right. Thank you very much. At this
I
point,
move to the next meeting, and
sure, we'll table your audit
if
request.
we don't get everything, then at that next meeting,
Okay.
we'll ask for an outside firm.
Do we need a motion to table, or can we just move on? So a motion by Councilman Rego to table his item, asking for this audit to the July 19th
It's a business review.
meeting.
Audit.
Right.
Audits are some people have problems with the word audit. So yeah, business
Business
review.
review.
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Madam Clerk, next item.
I'm on there for the time change.
Adjustment to the hours of operation on all speed and
We
red
kind
light.
of touched on it. Do you want to add to that?
I will look into that for you. I actually briefly read the contract today. By the way, this contract has been read so many times between this council and last council, and it is a little dense.
Not too much on this count. This is
Well,
the first
I
time.
read the whole thing.
I-
I thought I saw the clause where we could negotiate with them and change it to the liking of, like you said, hot or not.
Having not read it recently, I will,
like to know.
I will read it again and I will call you in and we can have a little discussion on it. How's that?
Thank you very much.
And Mike, there was never an ordinance written. It was a resolution saying the city could do the hours and the locations, correct?
I believe there was an ordinance from the previous council indicating that they were encouraging the administration to enter into a contract
Yeah.
for these speed cameras.
But there was never an ordinance dictating location and times.
No, and I looked, just so you know that I looked at Providence today because I know that was an issue. And Providence does not have an ordinance to tell you where the cameras are put either. So, and I think what happened was, and if I recall, is that before these cameras were placed, there was a study done by the police department informally as to where we were getting the most complaints and whatnot, where the most complaints coming. But speeding has been an issue before this council and previous council. I know that Council President Britta was a big proponent of what we call traffic calming measures. And this was one of the things that the previous council unanimously approved. And just to remind everyone, I think it's a 5-year contract and I think we're in year 2. So 2.5. So close.
If I could just add, prior to the cameras implementation, we did look at each area. It was looked at by the traffic unit, the amount of accidents and whatnot. So there was some procedure to it.
Thank you, Chief. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Update on Crescent Park concession stand and cement pad project, discussion only. Councilman Lawson.
Councilman Lawson, you have the floor.
And Napoleon just left.
What's that?
Napoleon just left.
Oh,
The guy
Mayor
has
just
to
pulled
answer
him
the
out.
question. So we'll move it to if he comes back.
he'll be right back, I assume. We'll come right
We
back.
can go to the next one. Malcolm's here.
Sure. Go ahead. You can read it.
Finance questions. A, impact of loss of tangible tax. Update on revenue projections, current fiscal year. Administration plan for the remaining unencumbered ARPA funds. Discussion only. Councilman Lawson.
Councilman, proceed.
So Malcolm, hello?
I think it's the-
You hear more? Okay. How's that? Better. Malcolm, this is just, we know the state just passed tangible tax went up to 50,000 exemption.
Correct.
We're currently what, 10,000?
I think it's 5.
5. All right. So we're going to lose revenue there. I didn't hear that the state's backfilling it, right? So we're losing that.
It,
Did I miss that?
They are back then. Yes.
Okay. That's good. So we're not going to have a major hit.
correct. It would be $1.8 million. That 50,000. We did something like that about a month ago with the assessor.
Okay.
And the only thing we have to look at right now is they're talking, well, the way the state does it is that, as of July 1, when you send your bills out, if you don't get $10 million, they will give it to you over the next 12 months.
Gotcha.
Again, we're the only one that has a 1031 year end. So there may be a little discrepancy in there. I've brought that up to the administration where we may have to change the state law like we did for the motor vehicle phase out.
Okay. All right. So last year, what did we, 189 million? Was that what we decided funded the city?
I think so.
And how is our revenues coming in? Are we looking to match that? Are we looking to take in less than we did last year?
Right now, the numbers look reasonably good.
Okay.
What I tell people is that the way our city is structured, we send out bills July 1st
Mm-hmm.
and then September 1st. They're due September 1st.
Yep.
And we have a discount. And there's a state law that says if we offer a discount, then you have to take advantage of that.
Mhm.
And so normally, most communities, you'll collect on average 25% per quarter. So it'd be like 30, 26, 23, 21 or something.
Gotcha.
We collect 75% of our revenues June, July, and August.
And we run on fumes.
Yeah, and so from November to May, we collect maybe 20%. So you're not really sure till August or September, because that's when the big, unlike everyone else, when you've got a pretty good idea, you're looking at the last month, you sent a quarter in. Ours is, by the time you find out it's September, it's a bit late to be making any adjustment.
Right. Okay. So our fiscal year, it's calamity. It throws everything off.
It does make it more difficult.
Yeah. Okay. So overall, you feel we're in a good shape? There's no red flags you want us to start thinking about as we're heading into budget season?
No, and a lot of times, if the revenue is down, the expenses will be down, and it seems to be that way. And a lot of it, like we'll get police detail revenue. But again, if that seems to be down, then obviously the policemen doing details are down.
Gotcha.
But we've had surpluses I'm not sure we've had a deficit in 10 years.
Good.
And the way it's said is we budget 99% of our revenues. So there's 1%, about $1.5 million that's unaccounted for, which should roll into capital. So even if we're short, as long as we're not short $1.5 million, we have money to cover that.
And that's because the charter says 1% has to go to our rainy day fund, but it's already fully funded, so it goes into capital.
Into capital.
Gotcha. All right.
So I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So you have me thinking here now. Do you apply zero-based budgeting, or do you use just a traditional budgeting process here? Because I'm thinking what you just described now and everything coming in, that ZBB would be a great concept that we could use.
We've talked about zero-based budgeting. Normally, you've got obviously your biggest expense are your salary and benefits. That'll be 80%. And as I've told the administration that, and I think I may have told this council in the previous, that it's going to be a tough budget year because we have to start funding for the middle school bonds now. And we've got to come up with $4 to $5 million over the next couple of years. And, I'm projecting we'll end up going over the cap once, maybe twice. And of course, when we talk to the mayor about that, he's unhappy about it. He's trying to find a way to minimize it. And so we're trying to get the budget done a little earlier to see exactly where we stand.
Do you look at any information come from the state? Because obviously the Senate president last week laid out a detail about why they didn't fund certain things. Do you look at what their budget office has done on the state level and then the auditing department? Because if obviously the state has more people employed than you and your staff, do you follow those patterns? Because obviously they're seeing something from a state level.
Normally not. When we go through the budget, there'll be a section that applies to cities and towns, so you can see what they're allocating toward for us. And on the city side, it's really very consistent year after year. On the school side, even that's very consistent, though 3% on their 30 million, that could be an extra million, which it's only 3%. But when you say $1 million, well, that's a big difference on us. That's a 1% on the tax rate. And, the mayor is looking at, if it's as bad as I think it may be, about freezing positions or trying to figure out how to minimize the increase.
Gotcha. How soon can you guys determine if the water rates that we adjusted are appropriate, or if they need more or less, or, well, you need a few months to kind of determine if we're...
The sewer?
Yeah, the water and sewer rate that we just adjusted? Because I believe this month is when the new rate went in.
Went in May.
May, all right. How long will you need to see if that's the appropriate amount that we're actually fully funding the enterprise fund now?
I would think shortly thereafter. We send the bills out monthly, so you get 1 or 2 months. We can compare to last year, and then to get an idea of how much more revenue we're generating.
I just want to make sure we did the appropriate number. You guys gave a great presentation, but sometimes something happens.
All right, we can take a look. I can take a look at that.
All right. So overall, you're comfortable that it's going to be a tough budget, but the revenues, we're not seeing a drop off.
No.
Per se. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Councilman. You want to go back up to number 8? No.
He's not done with. He's
Yeah, just ask.
It doesn't matter either one. While we're on number 9. So the ARPA funding. I've been mentioning this probably once a month. You guys gave us this great thing of potential projects. I just want to see, is there been any official, this is what we're going to do. Like I'm looking at community center, we talked about that. Public parks, we talked about signage promotion. I emailed the administration about money for placemaking. Storefront facade program. I think they're almost tapped. The business incubator. I'd love to see some funding go to that. So I was just wanted to have the conversation with the council and administration. Do we have any set projects that we are like, yeah, this is what we're going to do with the funding yet?
So in speaking with the mayor, he's definitely going to carve out some money for the storefront facade improvements. We're using some of the money now for the mayor's youth workforce to employ our youth in the city of East Providence, only for East Providence only. And it's directed towards high school age kids and some college age kids. Give them some valuable work experience for them to be able to, to be able to gain from working for the city. Our HR director, Dr. Rob Perry, is doing an excellent job in managing that. The rest of what we're waiting for is the governor is going to give us some money for the community center. And we'd like to pool the money for the community center, but we're up to, if you want to send us some suggestions, you sent some to the mayor already, I would assume?
Yeah, I sent a few.
Okay, all right. And I'll double back with him, make sure that we review that. And I know that he wants the overwhelming majority of the funds to go towards a community center. And we got good news within the last couple of weeks that the governor's he's putting more money into the funding for community centers. And we're hoping to leverage the money we have with what the governor's going to give us for the community center.
And I did tell the mayor, I 1000% support him with the community center, but there are some things that this funding, because it's a one-time, that I don't think we should neglect for everything to go into the community center. I'm fine with a big chunk of it, but some of these things I just mentioned, like the placemaking and the business incubator, I'd like to see some attention to that.
special needs playground.
Special needs, adaptive equipment we talked about. So
You guys, if you want, maybe we can set up a meeting sometime next week or something like that with the mayor and
Yep.
those members of the council that are interested in participating in the conversation, sit down and talk about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I guess we're kind of on the clock, right? Next year, we got to have tangible projects that are, okay. I would love that. Thanks, buddy. My other one is the number one thing I get requested about down in Riverside is, where's our clam cakes and chowder?
So we're still working with the vendors, with the people that bid on the project. We're trying to nail down some specific details in regards to them so that, we're doing our due diligence and trying to make sure that the money's right and what they're quoting us for is right.
Okay.
That's what we're working on. We're really close.
All right. So our next meeting's a month away, possibly
We
then.
should be ready by then. Yes, definitely.
And if not, you owe me a beer. Thank you, my friend.
No problem.
Thank you, Councilman. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Flashing alert lighting to be added to all school camera zones. Discussion and possible vote. Council Vice President Rigo.
Mr. President, I was fortunate yesterday to be at that high school baseball game. I'm thinking PC basketball in my mind. But I was also fortunate for an inning to be standing next to the mayor, who informed me that along with the traffic indicators that there are more, that the lights have been ordered. So at this time, I will move number 10 based on the words of Mayor De Silva that they are coming in. So we can move on that.
Sure, we can move
If I
ahead
could
to.
just say, they're in stock, but we have to work with our DPW director informed me that we have to work with the state DOT and engineers to make sure that it's properly installed.
Excuse me, through the chair. The ones that, I'm just saying, that work great and people do see them, the ones that come across the road, like they have on 44 in Rehoboth school system. And that's why I said about the police, they sit there And I've seen many cars pulled over that violate that 20 mile an hour in Rehoboth. And it's a different subject, but with that said, those ones that go over the road, that's where they have in the blinking. I think that's more alerting than the one on the pole to the right or left of the driver. But I mean, if you already have them, and there's no sense in discussing it.
I wouldn't disagree. It's just not as easy a process, especially with state roads and
Yeah, I get
Make
you.
Safe and all that and other utilities. It becomes kind of a very complicated matter.
Something I noticed. And then another town I was in, I saw the stop signs, they would light up. You see those out there, Chief? They light up. You can show that all of them light up. And I found it very,
And are you guys,
useful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
are you guys aware the flashing cameras record speeds? And if you ask, they can give you an average? That's very helpful. So when somebody says, speeding, we say, well, the data is.
I don't
That's
like
okay.
them, Rick.
No, I don't think he's talking about the automated cameras. He's talking about
the ones in the neighborhood.
Flash your speed, tell you.
Oh, yeah, the one.
Those
I like
click.
those, Rick.
Yeah.
I like.
Thank you, Councilman.
you.
So we'll hold off. Thank you for getting that information, Councilman Rigo. And also, you want to go to number 11, which is your request for covering the signs.
Well, are we gonna let
Worked out something with
Are we
that.
gonna let the clerk read it? I mean, we gotta pay her, so she might
Sure.
read it.
Thought you would read it, but she could
Oh,
read
you
it.
know, she reads better
Madam
than me.
Clerk, could you read number 11, please?
All school camera zone signs and reduced speed signs be covered from the end of school year until school resumes in September. Discussion and possible vote. Council Vice President Rigo.
So, Mr. President, here again, with my business, we employ a couple of lawyers, and we have them on retainer, and I haven't used any retainers. So I called one of the lawyers that we have on retainer, and I asked him the question, and he goes, there's nothing really illegal about this, but he said the biggest issue you run into is going to be an issue with DOT, signs up, signs down, and everything, getting it, might be asking them for permission. So for the sake of by the time they come up and go down, I'm going to move this question.
Thank you, Councilman. Madam Clerk, could you read the next item?
Speed.
We
and
can-
red light.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're moving it on, or you're?
No, I'm making a motion.
Oh,
to
what's
move
your
it.
motion?
To move that number 11. Table, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm on a table.
Okay,
yeah.
there's a motion to
The
table. Is there a second?
Second.
And I will save the clerk some voice here, and I will table number 12, because number 12 is identical really to
Well,
what
let's
we're
vote
asking.
on the motion first.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Table 11, that's okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. And there's a motion by Councilman Rigo to
Table number 12.
table number 12, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. This was also in addition to speed and red light reports, which we've kind of talked about. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
For the record, for all the ones that I tabled, I get those in my back pocket according to council.
You're going to claim
I'm
some,
going to claim more for the next.
claim
meeting.
them Christmas time or
Yep.
something. You got it. Madam Clerk, could you move on, please, to under public hearings?
We have item number 13. Or did you?
It's your item.
Oh, I don't have it.
The Dewey Avenue neighborhood flooding situation.
Update and review of Dewey Avenue neighborhood street flooding
Oh, okay.
situation. Discussion only. Council President Rodrick.
Thank you. I did print an earlier agenda. I didn't have that. And I don't, Dan's not available.
I
but
can answer the questions. for you.
Okay, and I did speak with him, but every time there's a heavy rain, we get half a dozen calls. So and cars are getting flooded. So what is the latest?
So we haven't found any major issues. The crews just checked, cleaned all pipes in the Dewey Avenue area. We're going to work with Highway to install extra catch spaces on the street, assist in alleviating heavy rain events. And also, I think we're going to do an overall study of the capacity of the system.
That's my understanding as well, that for the residents to understand and know there are no blockages that can be found. There aren't tree limbs going through the pipes. So it might be a capacity issue. We might need to add some drains and things. So
Extra catch spaces.
EPW and administration are working on it. We hope we can get there. So for anyone watching or listening in that area, that's the latest we have. Any other comments on that? Okay, thank you for that. And
You're welcome, Council President.
next item, Madam Clerk.
Public hearings ordinance for first and final passage and second passage for discussion and possible vote, an ordinance and amendment of Chapter 18 of the revised ordinances of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended, entitled Vehicles and Traffic. Summary, Section 18-302, no parking, Horsford Avenue, West Side, from Holmes Avenue northerly for 160 feet between 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. and between 2 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. on school days. Sponsor, Council Vice President Rigo.
Thank you. This is for second passage. We talked about this at the last meeting in regards to buses. I said at the last meeting, but he's here right now. I want to thank the chief for his assistance in having a couple of patrol cars up there morning drop off and the dismissal in the afternoon. And people were very impressed of our police department there and looking at it. And the traffic department came back with this recommendation. So I move second passage of this ordinance.
Second? Oh, it's a
Motion
public
made
hearing.
It's a public hearing.
I apologize.
I'm sorry, it's a public
Motion
hearing.
made by Councilman Rigo, seconded by Councilman Lawson. It is a public hearing. Is there anyone present like to discuss this specific motion or item? Ordinance, thank you.
What did you?
Anyone present, again, that would like to speak on the second passage of this ordinance? Any other council discussion? We have the motion in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you, Councilman. Next item.
Continued business, having none, new business, mayor communications. Appointment, reappointment requiring council confirmation. Appointment, Christopher Farrell, appointment 1, Economic Development Commission, 5-year term, 9/4/2018 to 9/3/2023.
Thank you. Director Gonzalez?
Okay, you guys have the packets of some of the resumes. I'll just go over some of the highlights. Christopher Farrell was worked for the Governor McKee, a senior advisor. He also worked at Liz Brisboe. And the appointment is from 9/4/2018 to 9/3/2023. And if you have his, I assume you have his resume, he's very accomplished. We're lucky and proud to have him and nominate him for this council.
There a
This
motion?
council.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it unanimous.
Reappointment, Frederick Radway, appointment to Economic Development Commission, 5-year term, 11/22/22 to 11/21/27.
So Mr. Radway has served on the commission for close to 10 years. He's a resident, 34 years, a retired banker, enjoyed helping small businesses and establish growing our city. Interacting with commercial businesses and customers was always the best part of his job, according to him, in which he, 24 years continuous service. He served at the Rumford branch for Bank of Boston, Sovereign, and Santander.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have that unanimously.
Can I just say, the economic folks, they're awesome. They do the facade program, the microloan. They're awesome. I pop into their meetings when I can, and we're very fortunate that we have these people that volunteer to do
Vital
this.
group of volunteers.
Yes, very good.
Thank you. Next, sir.
Reappointment, Gregory Miller, citywide appointment, Planning Board, 5-year term, 1/16/23 to 1/15/28.
Mr. Miller, another one with well-accomplished resume, Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. He was the editor director of research, Greater Boston and Capital Markets, reported on groundbreaking real estate transactions, led market research on construction. He also worked for CTM Media as a digital content coordinator, created and formatted media for digital display. He does Bachelor of Science in Media and Communication Studies from Johnson Wales University.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion, Councilman Lawson. Second by Councilman Fogarty to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have that unanimously. Thank you.
Items for discussion or announcement. May finance update, Malcolm Moore.
Good evening again.
Welcome back.
Yeah. I wanted to point out, if you, it's hard to see, but on the page 1 where it talks revenue, it says tax is supposed to be 111 million. We've collected 22 million, which is 20% through May. And I think I said that we collect about 75% June, July, August. So September and October, we collect 5%. In the first 7 months of the year, we collect 20%. So, it's make it or break you June, July, and August. Yeah, so, we get the budget 188 million in total. But, it's always tricky because you don't really know until, say, September about where you're going to be, at least on the revenues. And the expenses have been very consistent. We usually come in a little below just due to vacancies and retirements. And again, if there's anything specific, I can try to address it or get back to you later.
Any questions of the director this time?
I don't have any.
Thank you for the
Okay.
monthly update. Appreciate it. Next item.
Cape Verdean Independence Day proclamation.
So I'll be brief. I'll summarize the proclamation from the Honorable Mayor Roberto da Silva. East Providence is home to a large Cape Verdean community that has become an important part of the city. East Providence is home to one of the oldest Cape Verdean progressive centers in the nation, as well as the birthplace of the Cape Verdean Museum. Cape Verdeans have become an integral part of the city of East Providence, roles in leadership, as mentors, and much more. The Honorable Mayor Roberto da Silva, on behalf of the city of East Providence, proclaimed July 5th, 2023 as the 48th anniversary of Cape Verde Independence Day in the city of East Providence. And also, if you don't mind, if I could mention that on July 5th, at approximately 12:30 p.m., we're going to raise the Cape Verdean flag for Republic of Cape Verde, 48th year of independence, and celebrate. And you're all invited, as well as the public, for the flag raising.
Great, thank you.
Summer meals release.
With summer right around the corner, it's time to think about keeping children healthy while school is out. East Providence Recreation provides free meals to children during the summer. Summer meals will be served at George Lima Park from Monday through Friday, June 26th to August 4th, and at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Lana Moniz John Park from June 26th to August 25th, and 11 o'clock in the morning to 1 p.m. I'm sorry. Pierce Field from June 26th to August 25th. No meals on July 4th or August 4th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. For more information, we're going to have a kickoff event. The Summer Meals Kickoff Celebration. Learn more about the Summer Meals and for a day of fun with your family. The Summer Meals Kickoff Celebration will be held on Saturday, June 24th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Pierce Field, 201 Mercer Street in East Providence. There's no cost to attend. More information is available in regards to the Summer Meal Program. I'll give you the phone number for it, 401-435-7511. Or also you can check out our website, www.eastprovidenceri.gov.
Napoleon, if it rains, are we still providing meals for these kids?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the only way they won't is if some of the camps are closed, but I can get back to you on it, but I believe this.
That's my only concern, having Pierce without an indoor thing, because these families, some of these kids, that's a meal.
Yeah.
At times, they go into the Hennessy School. That is off and on,
Okay.
depending on school staff that may or may not be available. But that has been a backup on inclement weather in the past.
I just want to make sure we're taking care of those.
Yep, a good
They
point.
need to be.
Councilman Rigo?
Yeah, I just have something on number 2, and it went real quick. It's from a city council standpoint, When the flag is raised, I would like to have you be our representative raising the flag with your Cape Verdean heritage.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Appreciate it.
Only if you bring some food.
There'll be plenty of food.
Okay.
You know, Cape Verdean people, we bring food wherever we go.
I mean, this is our first time. I don't know.
Might have some pastel in my pocket. It would be interesting.
I don't know if you ever raised it before, but from a city council standpoint, I'd like you to be, the person raising it.
Is it kachuk also?
See, I don't even stop me. I'm not a big fan of kachuk, and a lot of Cape Verdean people question my heritage, but I'm more of a kind person. Just like a chicken soup.
So I'm getting hungry. Thank you, Councilman. That's a good suggestion. Such a rich heritage in East Providence and also, I know, neighboring Pawtucket. Councilman Fogarty, you wanted to add something?
In speaking of, and then in concern with Representative Lawson, Councilman Lawson's concerns about inside usage. It happens a lot in the 9-year programs I've been coaching with Damien from the Boys and Girls Club. Great program assistant. We catch 2 or 3 rain days a week, and these poor kids for a 6-week program, they have nothing. I mean, the money's an issue, but it's the kids having something to do. Same thing with the meals. Meals more important than a recreation, obviously. But what about the staff that funds these and has these, having a key to the schools through the appropriated chain? I mean, one representative to bring them inside for the meal. Just suggestions.
Well, I'm sure that that's been accounted for. I know our staff tries to think of everything. So it wouldn't surprise me if they have a backup plan when it rains
That's
to
awesome.
address that.
We need to have that for the basketball program at Pierce.
Okay.
That'd be awesome to use Martin and or the high school. I mean, we should utilize our buildings if we could. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you, sir.
Letter requesting support of House Bill H6165, Senate Bill S885.
So you all have the letter in your packet. We're asking for the council support. The recently passed legislation enabling amnesty for our residents and give them some sort of tax relief, especially on the heels of us coming back from COVID. Some of our residents have had a tough time recovering financially from it. So this is just something the mayor introduced to be able to help us, lighten the load on our taxpayers and our residents.
I presume they passed since they're out of session. They did pass?
They did.
Mr.
They did.
Solicitor, okay.
Do you need anything more from us?
And
Passage of the ordinance.
We have ordinances
Yeah.
for your consideration tonight based upon the passage of that law.
And then after that, you guys are all set.
Passages.
so really, they wouldn't start paying, they couldn't, the program wouldn't start till after the 18th of July because that's the next time we meet, correct? It's 2 passages, right? You just said? Okay.
We'll get to that when I'll talk to you.
All right, thank you.
Reports of other city officials, report of city solicitor, claims committee report.
Thank you. As the council met in executive session to review the following claims, the claim of Michael Brandeo, amount of $2,451.64 was approved. At the request of the applicant, the claim of Manuel Gomez was tabled until he submits some additional information. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Next, madam.
Report of the school committee liaison.
All right.
Councilman Lawson, do you have anything?
Yep. So as you mentioned, school year ended today. I believe it was Dr. Ferrand's first full year.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Finishing up. Yeah.
We had 2 state champs, unified basketball. I may be missing some of the winter sports, so correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
But baseball and unified
had some
basketball.
individual winners, but the
We had the- yep.
team, yep.
Martin Middle School. So the project is looked like phase 2 is getting ready to be submitted up to RIDE. The RMS project, where they're going to update the science labs, that is on budget and it's looking good. Oldham, which is the former Meadowcrest for us older folks, it's going to need some renovations because it's going to house the entire pre-K while the Martin renovation's going on. They approved, it was low budget money. They're going to add a couple classroom spaces. And the other thing, the school department, they're going to start their budget process soon. I'm going to try to attend their workshops, depending on when they're scheduled. You all are welcome. They're public. It'd be a good idea if you can't attend to at least watch them. So that way we get an idea of why they're asking for the certain amount of money. And we can better work with them to come up with what we need to support our schools. And that is all I have. I mentioned, yep. And congrats to our seniors who graduated, and things are turning around.
Thank you for
Doing good.
staying in touch with the
Oh, absolutely.
school committee. It's good to have a good cooperative effort between the both. And I have been attending the meetings of the new building committee on the Martin Riverside bond issue. Waddington is now involved. And still the high school is cleaning up the punch list there.
Oh,
Just about done.
there's 20 items left. 8 of them, I believe, are just paper, like manuals for how this operates and stuff like that. The drainage issue, they got it going and stuff. So that punch list is down to 20 items. So, and they anticipate it'll be wrapped up soon.
Thank you for the report. Madam Clerk, if we could go to the resolutions, and maybe number 1 and 3, I think involve the police department. So if we could go to 1 first, and then we'll go to 3. If you could read number 1 anyway first.
Resolutions for discussion and possible vote. Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for the purchase of 60 new portable radios for the police department. Sponsor Council President Rodericks and Councilman Lawson.
An item that, we've all been interested in. Councilman Lawson, if you want to add to this follows up on our concerns and tour of the police station. And this
Is this-
asset forfeit. This is the radios,
This is the radio part, yeah.
right?
All right, so
Well,
Chief, is 60 the number? Is that going to be enough for you?
So that's what I'm hoping is the initial purchase. That will more than cover our frontline people.
Okay.
And this is a much needed purchase. More recently, we've been purchasing refurbished portable radios.
Gotcha.
They're hard to come by. A lot of those models, the service life has expired from Motorola. So the other major thing these 60 new radios will address is our officers will oftentimes go into buildings and they're not able to transmit. They're just in one of those areas.
Right.
These radios will seamlessly switch from the 800 megahertz radio frequency. If there is an issue, it'll go right to a cell service. It also has Wi-Fi capability. I saw a demonstration of the radios in which someone took the antenna off, transmitted from Smithfield to the police department in Narragansett seamlessly. So this addresses a safety issue that's been looming for quite a while, not just for the East Providence Police Department, but for many police departments.
Okay.
And let me just set the price for the public to understand that it's $589,572.60, totally asset forfeiture funds, so covered by that, not coming out of the budget. And before I go to Councilman Rigo, Chief, I think it's safe to say that radios not only are key to law enforcement, but these aren't Radio Shack radios. These
No.
are expensive items.
These radios are my officer's lifeline in the field. These are the most technologically advanced radios on the market today. They're much more than a radio. They have a digital screen in which maps can be pulled up, in which pictures can be sent of, say, a wanted person. It's well beyond a simple radio, and they're very rugged, waterproof. They also have a system similar to Siri. They call it Vicky. Traditionally, if an officer has to change the radio channel, they have to take it from their belt. They have to look at it, make sure they're on the right channel. This, they can just tell Vicky, go to channel 3. Lower the volume. So if they're in a situation where they need to have a low volume in transmission in a delicate situation, they can simply whisper into their body mic It'll lower it, change the channel, do a multitude of things. So these really are technologically advanced radios.
So 60 is enough for you for the time being?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We're starting from the most junior patrolman on the road up through the patrol division, my frontline supervisors, everyone who's out on the road on a daily basis will be equipped with a brand new radio.
The one thing that I'm picking up on what you said, so I can guarantee you through January 2nd of 2027, when our term expires, you will never, the men and women of East Providence Police Department, who I hold in high esteem as Captain Ferrer was here and friends of my grandfather, never again will I hear you say that you had to buy used equipment. That is never going to happen when I'm sitting here in that council, because you people are the best. You've been treated like kings and queens. You get the respect, and I'll give up anything to make sure that you have new, best, proper equipment.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second that.
Thank
For
you.
the,
I ain't
for the
making that
baseball
promise,
team
buddy.
will agree.
I ain't making that promise.
I do.
But I agree with the sentiment. I absolutely support it.
Councilman Lawson, is that a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the funding of 60 radios.
Is there a second?
Second. A third.
Councilman Rigo, it took you a while. I thought you were so supportive. I mean, you.
Well, you were the one on the motion. I figured.
Motion made, seconded by Councilman Fogarty, Councilman Rigo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you. And if we could go while the chief is here to number 3.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for the police department renovation analysis. Sponsor Council President Rodericks.
Follow up on all of the administration's work and the council's concern with the renovation analysis of the police department. Chief, this was a proposal received by JCJ Architecture in the amount of $110,000, and the city will again use asset forfeiture funds to complete the purchase. I won't read through the whole scope of services, but can you give us a summary of what is needed here?
Absolutely. Just a brief background. We went out to RFQ. 3 companies responded. Myself, other members of the police department, DPW, buildings, Director Gonsalves. We met with each company. They gave us a presentation. We chose JCJ. We thought they had the best understanding of what we were looking for, had the top-notch resources to get it done, a significant track record in what we are looking for them to do. And it was a unanimous decision to go with JCJ.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just want to add, this is needed. The dispatch center moved out, so there's space that can be reutilized. The interview rooms definitely need some little more privacy and stuff. So I would strongly support this, and I will make a motion that we pass it.
Motion by Councilman Lawson.
I'll second that
Seconded
motion.
by Councilman Fogarty. I did read the amount earlier, and it's asset forfeiture funds will complete this purchase. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Council.
And I want to email you tomorrow to make sure we're taking care of our friend who's deployed. To make
Oh,
sure
yes. Yeah,
all this stuff's-
absolutely. Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Chief. All right. Madam Clerk, continue.
Resolution authorizing the granting of temporary easement to construct a series of fish passages weirs downstream of the Huntsmill Dam Fish Ladder. Sponsor Council Vice President Rigo.
Councilman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Obviously, Hunts Mills is a very historic area in Ward 1, and this will add to the environment and the reproduction of wildlife in this scenario, fish. It's a great concept, and I move passage.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Yes. Yeah, I reached out to Keith. I just wanted to get an update, and this sounds like really cool.
Yeah, this is really good. Yeah.
There's like a little stretch where the fish kind of get
Yep. They get
stuck.
Yeah, exactly. This is going
And
to
so
do
this
it.
is, yeah.
Yeah, and it's happening in a great
Yeah.
area.
You see how
too.
quickly we give DEM their permission, but we wait for them?
Yeah.
That second was by Councilman Fogarty, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Councilman. Next item.
Introduction of ordinances for discussion and possible vote. An ordinance and amendment of Chapter 8 of the revised ordinances of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended entitled Licenses and Business Regulation, Summary Section 8-6, Authority to Issue One-Day License, Sponsor, Council Vice President Rigo.
Councilman.
Thank you. This arose from an issue, and I want to thank Mike and the legal department for moving on this quickly. There was a little hiccup in regards to one-day licenses where you can get the one-day license and go out and hire food trucks, but there was no listing on it. And we just want to make sure that if you're hiring a food truck, that they're registered here in the city of East Providence and they meet all the criteria. That's basically what this ordinance would do. Am I missing anything, Mr. Solicitor?
Correct.
All right. So I move passage. This would be the first passage. I move first passage of this ordinance.
Second?
Councilman Rigo moves first passage, seconded by Councilman Lawson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Councilman. Next, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance and amendment of Chapter 16 of the revised ordinances of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended entitled Taxation, Summary, Section 16-94, Rateable Property Classification. Sponsor, Council President Rodericks.
President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. There are a couple of these here tonight. Mr. Solicitor, this is just follow-up to
So as you
state
know,
law.
we sought the amendment of state law earlier this year to allow this tax assessor to change the rate classification so they're not 200% greater from class 1 to class 2. That law did pass, and that law was very helpful in us doing the assessment this year. This is really just to clean up our ordinance now, our regular local ordinances to reflect the change in state law. So this is really just a housekeeping measure.
I move passage.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman, Council Vice President Rigo moves passage, seconded by Councilman Lawson.
No.
Fogarty, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you.
An ordinance and amendment of Chapter 16 of the revised ordinances of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended entitled Taxation. Summary, Section 16-56, One-Time Tax Amnesty Period, Real Property Tax Payments. Sponsor, Council President Rodericks.
Thank you. So once again, we're marrying up ordinance with prior actions, state
So the
law, and
if you recall, the council sought special legislation for East Providence allowing the city to offer a tax amnesty period for real property. That law did pass, and as a result, that was an enabling legislation, and now you're being presented with the ordinance. This would allow people who are delinquent in their property taxes, assuming that they come current with their current taxes, to receive a waiver of interest and penalties up to the amount of $10,000 after application through the assessor's office. And the period, if this were to pass in second passage, the period for the waiver would be August 15th, 2023 to October 14th, 2023, because the law said it was a 60-day period. So assuming this passes tonight, a first passage, and the next meeting, we'll be able to start that tax amnesty program on personal property tax during that period.
I'd like to make a motion for first passage.
Second?
motion by Councilman Fogarty, first passage. Councilman Lawson, seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have that unanimously. Thank you.
An
Make
ordinance,
I apologize.
Right, one more.
Is there one more?
Continuing on the tax, this one's for cars, right?
This is for the next, so even though there's no car tax in Rhode Island any longer, there are some people who are, for past taxes, who are delinquent on their car tax, and as well as tangible taxes. This is the same principle that we just talked about. Upon application and meeting all the criteria as set forth in the ordinance, someone who is delinquent on their tangible tax and or car tax would be able to have the interest and penalties waived as long as they become current on the overdue taxes and be current on their current taxes as well. Again, that would mostly be tangible taxes because there are no longer any car taxes. Again, the council sought enabling legislation to pass pass such an ordinance. This is now the ordinance that mirrors that enabling legislation. And I want to thank the delegation from East Providence, both on the House and Senate, for really getting this through in a timely fashion.
Thank you, Mr.
Second
Solicitor.
that. Thank you.
Is that a motion also, Mr. Fogel?
Oh, I definitely second that. comment.
Yes, and
I appreciate the efforts of the state and Senate.
yes, we appreciate all of them. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Vice President Rigo, seconded by Councilman.
All good.
Who wants a second?
Second.
Fogarty gets in there just by a nose. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.